Hi, we saw Appofeniacs yesterday at the Paris International Fantastic Film Festival. We fell in love with the movie, kind of
Oh,
literally.
awesome. Thank you. Merci.
Our our first question was, what was the creative beginning of the movie? Where did it come from a thought? Did it come from a reaction or something? What was the very beginning of the creation of this movie?
Not so it didn't start off so much as a reaction, more as a preemptive reaction, because I saw my first deepfake in like 2018, and it was still it was a very low res stage, but I could tell that I saw the trajectory of it. I saw that it was going on this path of, oh, it's before too long, this is going to get perfected. It's going to be amazing. It's amazing technology, but it's going to be so scary, you know? So I was kind of captivated by by how beautifully frightening it was going to be. And my first thought was just like, oh, okay, I gotta figure out what my movie's gonna be using this. That was like a pretty immediate thought. And it was floating around in my head for several years, because that was like 2018. And after so many years of not making my first film, this kind of like re-entered my brain of like, okay, it's time for you to make your first film. This is a good way into it, because I figured that I could write a cool story that I could pull off on a low budget. Like I went into it with the mind frame of, I'm gonna write this, so it's something that I can pull off by raising money and doing it myself. And the different scenarios that play out in the film, those are just kind of, they're all just kind of moments that I just felt like these are things that are going to be problematic, and I wanted to focus on more like smaller level type scenarios. I didn't want to focus on maybe down the line, if I do sequels or something, I'll do bigger type storylines, but I really wanted to focus on how easily it can blow up a situation as trivial and benign as someone talking shit, and how that can like mess with someone's head, and how you can then distrust someone who you thought was a friend, and how that can like unravel, and then I have fun with making it just super chaotic.
We were really surprised by the villain of the movie,
The antagonist.
Yeah,
he's not really a villain. He's kind of the antagonist.
The deepfake master.
The deepfake bastard. Yes.
Our question was, what was the point of creating, in the meantime, someone we can qualify as literally pure evil, like literally no intention besides fuck things up.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, being really pathetic when it comes to the guy he owes money to. What was the intention behind this?
Well, so my intention was like similar to how you just described him. That kind of was my intention, of the fact that he's not this calculated villain. He doesn't have some master plan. He's just some dickhead, just walking around life not giving a shit about other people. And I feel like internet culture has unfortunately lent itself to that mind frame, where a lot of people don't really consider the fact that there's an actual human being on the other side of this whatever creation or interaction you have online. And so the consequences of those decisions aren't really considered. And I think that is that's become like a very common behavior and mind frame of a lot of people. And I feel like to me that's like scary. Yeah. That's scary, of like just how easily someone could just not give a shit about another human being.
Just some like random douche could just
exactly
fuck someone's life.
Exactly. So that was an important aspect to me writing that character, is that I just wanted him to be a guy that doesn't even necessarily know you, and he's just doing something because he can. You know, we have this like crazy powerful technology in the palm of our hands, and it's so easy to do stuff and just just not consider what the consequences of that could be, you know, and not even care. And like so that was fun for me to just have the antagonist just kind of be this figure that doesn't really care about you or really even think all that much about you. You know, just maybe in passing, maybe there was just 30 seconds or a minute of being bothered, and then it's just like, and then he's gonna go on with his life and not really think about it. But you're gonna, you're gonna be thinking about it, and you're gonna get fucked up from it.
Yeah, thank you. We were very surprised in the best way to see that Sean Gunn was in the movie.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit
Great.
more about how he ended up in the movie and we saw that he was in the production and what was his role in the production?
Yeah, so I'm friends with Sean Gunn by default because I became friends with him because one of my friends married him, or he married my friend, whichever way you want to look at it. So then we became friends. I kind of forced him to become my friend after he married my friend Tasha. His lovely wife, Tasha. Hello, Tasha.
Hi, Tasha.
Shout out to Tasha. So then Sean's a great guy, and I was just kind of telling him about the script and what I was planning on doing, and he really dug the idea, and he was like, "Oh yeah, let me read the script." And so he read like an early draft and came on early to like, he's just like, yeah, I want to help out however I can, and we both like immediately decided like, oh well, you would be great for Clinto Binto if you're down to do it. I would, I'd love to have you do it. And he was like, yeah, I'm in, let's do it. And he was he was such what am I trying to say? He was so enthusiastic and so just he was just down to play ball. I was trying to think of the stupid saying. He was down to play ball on set. Like, so I mean, there was some times where he's I don't want to talk about actual things, but he's in like an uncomfortable situation for a little bit. Like he just kind of like, he was down to just kind of sit on set and be like, yeah, I'm here. Like, I don't need much. And, we're friends. So, so I definitely had that level of comfortableness. Is that a word? Maybe, I don't know. It is now. But he was a joy to work with, and he was totally down to have fun with it and give it his all. Shout out to Sean.
Obviously.
Shout out to Sean too. What were your influences with this movie? Because you talked about the preventive way to talk about AI and deepfake, but your cinematographic influences. What could you say of it?
Well, I would say just, I don't know if I necessarily thought specifically as cinematography influences. I would say overall as like filmmaking influences, like P.T. Anderson. Magnolia is one of my favorite films. Boogie Nights, that 1-2 punch from him, two of my favorite films. Tarantino, the Coen brothers, Scorsese. Like, I would say that like filmmakers who do a lot of storytelling with large ensemble casts and multiple, even if they're not like multiple storylines the way that Appofeniacs plays out, though. There's the multiple storylines of like Magnolia and like Pulp Fiction. Like, those films have multiple storylines, so those are like a big inspiration. But then just like large casts and characters, like in like Boogie Nights, or with Scorsese, you've got The Departed, Goodfellas, like Casino. Like, you're following different characters, spending time with them. I really like when films do that. With the Coen brothers, you can think about Big Lebowski's. It's not just the dude. You got Donnie, you got Walter. You got like these other characters that you like to spend time with. So that's a big influence for me. Sam Raimi, the Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness really fucking like got their claws in me early on and just never left. Like I love those films so much. I love that Evil Dead 2 like balances like the campy and the comedy and the horror and the gore and Ash is just one of the coolest characters ever, you know, not just in horror but just ever, you know. He's just the fucking best. Ash, I don't know, for me, like that's on a pedestal, and that's at the top of the mountain where I will just always strive to try and have a character as cool as Ash. I'll never achieve it. I'll never get there, but like I'm always gonna be pushing for that because he's the fucking best. I want to give a shout out to Adam Lean, our cinematographer, who did a fantastic job, and I would say that like I'm not he's the one to answer that question because he like through our conversations. He then I kind of when I'm working with the DP cinematographer, for me it's very much of like here's like what I'm looking to achieve, and then the cinematographer gets into my brain and understands, and he's like, okay, here's what you want. Here's, you know, I'm better at describing the characters, the story, you know, and working in that world, and then I work with my DP and to let them instill their knowledge and their skill and interpret what my brain is trying to say. They're the talented ones. So it's Adam Lean's. It was his talent and skill to be all okay. Here's what it should look like, and he would be able to say whatever inspirations that worked in forming what my brain was trying to achieve.
Okay, thank you. You were talking about the shooting and the director of photography. Do you have in mind one particular challenge that came from the shooting, that came during the shooting around that movie?
Dude, a lot of challenges. This was an indie film, man.
Yeah, that's why.
So, like, the thing is, like, I wore a lot of hats. So I was the main producer on this. I was also the line producer. And I don't know, so if you don't know what, like, the difference there is, like, so not only was I, like, the producer as in just, like, overseeing it all and whatnot, the line producer is the one who, like, goes through the budget and, like, is, you know, we're going to pay this much for this and this much for this, so that way we can try and achieve things and try and, you know, actually be able to make the movie and whatnot. And so there's a lot of time spent there where you're like kind of juggling all of that to be able to pull off like, well, we need this much for this, and now this broke or we forgot about this, and so now we're spending this much here, so how do we shift things around? So to be doing all that while also trying to direct is there's a lot going on there. So that was very stressful. I would say that like we could probably do an entire interview where I just told you about everything that I fucked up, and I could tell you what not to do, because it was definitely like a learning experience. This was my first film, and to kind of take all that on, it's like, and I'm to do a film at like a fraction of the budget of what some of my music videos were, you know, like is kind of crazy. Especially like when a music video is like shot for like 1-2 days tops, you know, and then to not even have that much money, but then shoot an entire movie is very stressful. It's kind of crazy. Let me think. Sorry. Of like one particular. Trying to think, because you want like an actual something like if something went wrong or something.
If not, that's better.
Or just some. Well, no, plenty of shit went wrong. It's like hard to think of something. But okay, here's something I will say. Like, so we shot. So part of the film takes place in the desert, and our last night that we shot in the desert, well, for one, so we shot in the desert during the winter. We shot in the desert like the last week of March, first week of April. So it's really cold at the desert. We shot in Johnson Valley, which is near Yucca Valley, which is near Joshua Tree, okay, which is outside of LA, a few hours. And it was we shot almost all nights. So we're shooting like till 2, 3, 4 a.m., right? And it's really cold. And on our last night, it started hailing snow, kind of basically and we've got like a character wearing a kilt, you know, and then the other characters, you know, they're wearing like normal clothes. Like fortunately, like Texas Tim, he's wearing like a jacket and whatnot. But especially Banks, who's like in a kilt, and it's like hailing snow, kind of icy snow. We had to like it was our last day. I didn't have the money or the time or the schedule to like to add another day. So we had to wrap up, but like we weren't able to start shooting because we had to wait for this icy snow to stop falling. So that was a little crazy. And then we didn't our heaters that we had, like they didn't work. No, like they weren't working. Like nobody was getting warm. So then we had to like drive like a bunch of cars onto the set, like around where we were shooting, and people just had to have their cars running and have the heat going, so that way we could like in between shots get inside of a car and get slightly warm and then go back out. You know, so that was stressful.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We have just a few questions left. One that was the first one that came to our mind when we saw the movie yesterday. What are the different reactions that you have coming from that movie, and what are your favorite ones? And last part, what is the reaction that you expect, that you hope for coming from the audience?
Are we talking about any audience, or are we talking about the French audience here in Paris?
Any.
I'm gonna probably just group this all into one answer-ish. So it's definitely gratifying to have certain moments of like tension, to sometimes like hear like a gasp from the audience here and there, or sometimes like it all of a sudden then get like very quiet and and know that people are like kind of focused in. But that being said, there are also moments where when people are quiet during like certain moments, you like, for me, when I'm I'll just often just like being like in the back and just watching and listening and whatnot. You wonder like is this working or is it not working? Like, is this tense, or are people just kind of like, oh, whatever? So sometimes when it's like really quiet, like you don't know. So it's nice that afterwards, when I talk to some people, it's nice that like to hear from somebody say like, oh, that scene, like that was really tense. I was at the edge of my seat there or something, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. So it kind of worked. Great. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I would say that like it's satisfying to hear like if a certain character dies. I like knowing that people like are bummed. I like knowing that like it's important for me that like that you like the characters. That you enjoy spending time with them on screen, and that you're and that it affects you if they die. That's important to me. So it's nice to hear when that does happen. So that's cool. Let me focus on PIFFF, because here we are in Paris at PIFFF. This is my first screening for an audience that doesn't natively speak English. So that was something that I didn't know what to expect. I was really unsure and curious as to what was gonna translate. It was awesome to hear people laughing at jokes last night, because especially like because like being scared, I feel like, or scare and gore, like I feel like that can easily, if you're a fan of that, like that can easily translate anywhere. If you're a fan of that, you're a fan of that, cool. And if it worked, and great. But like comedy is something that like as an American, like I might find something funny, and you know, you guys out here might be like, all right, stupid American, like what that was that supposed to be funny? That was stupid. So you don't know how, you know, what's gonna work, what's gonna translate there. So that was really cool to hear multiple moments where people like enjoyed like the humor. I was like, oh, okay, awesome, right on, that's great. And there's actually one particular line that's like, it's not like a joke per se, but it's a humorous line that Stiletto, our Italian character, says that was actually really satisfying because there was an audible laughter type response to it, right? And he speaks with an accent and he speaks really fast, and so for our English speaking audiences, there's no subtitles, and so that joke, it's not a joke, but it's just like a fun line that he says. I think he usually goes over people's heads because of his accent, and he's talking so fast that people don't really catch it. So this time, having subtitles, you guys were able to catch it, and that was actually really cool. That was the first time that there was ever an audience reaction to that line. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, right on, very cool. That was very satisfying and very fun. Like, that was actually like a highlight of the night. This particular line, hearing a response from the audience to it, I was like, wow, amazing. That's very cool. So that's fun, and so it's very satisfying to see that that an audience from different country can enjoy similar things and have that we can have a relatable similar response to certain things. But then it was extra cool to see what moments that you all connected with that it hadn't been like a standout moment in other ways. So yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
And our last question, we ask it to every people we met at this festival. If you had to keep one or a bunch of horror movies of all time, you already mentioned The Evil Dead, but
okay, so I have to name something else now.
As you wish.
Okay.
You can keep on with Evil Dead or
horror or fantasy in general.
But I want if I could keep one.
Yeah, like if
I only had one horror movie for the rest of my life.
That's it.
One or a bunch, as we said.
Yeah.
A few people gave us 3, so you can go up.
Yeah, well, because obviously, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness would be if I have to like make a selection. It's like, okay, like that would be a great one, you know. And I would even toss in Evil Dead 2013.
Yes.
It's fucking like and I enjoyed Evil Dead Rise as well. Like solid movie. Like, but to give extra credit to 2013, Fede.
Yes.
So good. Like, that is an achievement on a really incredible level that I don't like. I know the film has a lot of love and whatnot, but like to get like it deserves like extra respect, because to come in and do a reboot of a series that has established itself with so much like comedy, you know, and so much like goofiness, to then be like, I'm taking all of that out, you know, like for a franchise that has such a hardcore fan base, right? Yeah. To go in and be like, yeah, this element of this franchise that you all love, I'm removing that, and I'm still gonna make a fucking badass movie that you're gonna love. Like, that's so impressive. Yeah. That is so impressive. Because we all could have been all, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? Like, where's Ash? Like, where's the cool, fun one-liners? Like, how dare you, you know? Like, what a bold fucking move to do. And he pulled it off. And, like, I mean, and that movie is just so fucking rad. Like, that is a great fucking horror film. So I would put that in there, too. So that's important. But then I'm going to give just a quick shout-out to, Dead Alive.
Yeah.
Fucking love that movie. What's the actual title though?
Brain Dead.
Brain Dead. Yeah. Which I knew that, but I just had a brain fart. And the original Scream was like a big deal to me, right? I'm sorry, I'm naming so many films. It would be so difficult just to do one. But the original Scream was also like that was a big deal because that film like did such a great job of balancing the meta and the humor and actually being scary, you know, and having good. But one more extra little shout out because before Scream, Wes Craven fucking nailed it with New Nightmare, which is like the original meta horror film that does not get enough love, and that movie's fucking rad. So put them all together, and I'll be okay. There we go.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, and once again, thank you for your movie, and we wish you all the best
I
for what's
appreciate
coming.
it. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Perfect.